I guess it's about time for me to do another video, huh? 6 months? You guys let me sleep for 6 months? Hold on. Okay, here we go. Ninja Warriors was released in August. August, man. I missed a review about Game Day. I missed the FamiComp's 30th birthday. You know, I don't even want to record in this room anymore with the DVDs and the books and that. I'm gonna go somewhere else. Yeah, that's better. But something's different. Huh. Oh, I know what it is. I think it's 1080p in here. Ninja Warriors was released on the SNES by Taito in 1994. Personally, when I picked this game up, I assumed it was a port of Taito's 1988 triple-screen arcade game The Ninja Warriors. Turns out I was only half wrong. The original arcade game was developed by Taito, while this game was developed by Natsume and published by Taito. In the US, the titles didn't do a very good job of differentiating between the two, as here they were called The Ninja Warriors and Ninja Warriors, respectively. In Japan, this game was called The Ninja Warriors again, and in Europe it was called Ninja Warriors The New Generation, so it was only confusing in North America. The game is equal parts sequel and remake. The story is almost exactly the same, where the evil tyrant Bangler has taken over a once prosperous country. I'll assume it's America, primarily because it tells you right here that it was a great economic power who's lost the power to think for themselves. Also, Bangler is a great name for a tyrant. Anyway, a small group of revolutionaries led by a man named Mulk. No, really, Mulk. Mulk sounds like something a bodybuilder would take to enhance a workout. Anyway, Mulk was building a group of androids to take out Bangler's forces and kill the tyrant to free the people. But they were attacked and forced to send out the untested androids as a last-ditch effort to reclaim the country. In the original game, there were two playable characters, a blue ninja and a red ninja. The two players were identical except that the red ninja was female, something of an oddity at the time, but a great move in retrospect. If, like me, you played the game without watching the attract screen based solely on the fact that there were ninjas, because ninjas are awesome, you'd have been amazed to discover that the ninjas were actually robots. As they take damage, more of their mechanical parts are revealed until they finally explode. In this game, however, the character design is such that it's pretty obvious that they're robots. Here there are 3 characters instead of 2, but the original 2 are retained. Ninja is a slow, brute character with powerful attacks. Kunoichi is a fast fighter, dealing out less damage but with more continuous attacks. Kamaitachi, the new character, is a walking bladed death machine. Each character has their own strengths and weaknesses. Ninja and Kunoichi can easily throw characters around, making them good choices for scenes where that's needed. Kamaitachi has moves that take out characters all around him. Every character has its place. But that brings us to this game's greatest fault. The game has 3 playable characters, but you can only play with 1 player at a time. There's no multiplayer mode. This is not only a no-brainer for a game like this, it's practically a requirement. The lack of a second player makes no sense. Even the original arcade game had this. Ports of the arcade game had this. Why in the world is it missing here? The game itself, though, is fantastic. It has these huge character sprites and their animations are lovely. Mario, is that you? Wait, Luigi, is that you? It's like they asked my inner child for a list of things that it wanted to see in a video game. Ninjas? Check. Robots? Check. Exploding heads? Check. The environmental hazards are great as well. Something that's usually annoying to the player is turned into a strategy because the hazards hurt the enemies here as well. It's ridiculously satisfying to see them walk into fans or get killed by a bomb that was meant for you. The music in this game is pretty good, but it can't even come close to competing with the original arcade game. To be fair, this game has pretty solid music, but the original game's music was composed by Zuntata, Taito's in-house band. Seriously, how can you possibly compete with this? There were some small changes from the original Japanese version. For one, the intro text removes all references to killing or assassinating Bangler, despite the fact that that's exactly what you're doing. The Japanese version featured green blood, which was removed entirely from the other versions, and honestly, I'm not sure why they bothered with the green blood in the first place. Lastly, all of the female ninjas were removed and replaced with these claw guys. This is the worst of the changes because I hate these guys, and they're in every single scene as a result. There are two difficulty modes, normal and hard. But don't let that lull you into a false sense of security. You're not really choosing a difficulty mode so much as you're choosing how quickly you want to see the game over screen. And in either mode, you'll see a lot of the game over screen. When you catch up with Bangler, you'll see that they've apparently moved the Oval Office to the Death Star. Of course he gets away. It's also worth noting that every boss in the game has an anti-spam move, so you can't just stand over them and continue to hit them until they die. If you stick around after a boss goes down, they'll do a ton of damage on the way up, so you have no choice but to learn the patterns and come up with a strategy to beat them. This is a nice change of pace from some of the arcade brawlers that basically just require you to press a single button until everything dies. There are different movesets for each character, and Kunoichi even throws people in the air with her hair. How awesome is that? Speaking of which, when you do finally catch up with Bangler, the way to defeat him is to toss enemies into the air to smash through his protective glass, which is a pretty awesome mechanic for a final boss battle. The ending is pretty great too, and only slightly less sad than the original game. In this version, they were set to explode when their mission was complete because their incomplete AI might go haywire. In the original game, they were intentionally sacrificed. They were detonated remotely to ensure that the tyrant was dead. In both versions, however, the ending reveals that Mulk just turns into the next Bangler, oppressing the people with his more powerful machines. Some things never change. Ninja Warriors is a great beat-em-up and a must-play if you're a fan of the genre. It doesn't do anything new or different, but this isn't really a genre that needed shaking up. With a current price tag at more than $55, it's a little hard to recommend unless you're a die-hard fan of beat-em-ups. If you come across one in the wild at $20 or under though, grab it without hesitation.